On her wedding night, she expected silence, fear, maybe even regret. Instead, what the poor farmer did left her questioning everything she'd ever been told about love, power, and freedom. Stay with me, because this story doesn't go where you think it will. And if you love unforgettable stories that hit hard and stay with you, make sure you subscribe. You won't want to miss what's coming next. At 19, Eliza Carter stopped believing her life belonged to her. It happened quietly, no dramatic storm, no shouting, just the sound of her father's tired voice one evening as he sat across from her at the wooden table that had seen too many unpaid bills and too few meals. "You'll marry him on Sunday." That was it. No question, no discussion, just a decision. The man's name was Thomas Hale, a poor farmer who lived miles beyond the edge of town, where the roads turned to dust and hope seemed to disappear with the horizon. People said he was strange, quiet, kept to himself. Some said he had nothing. Others said he had less than nothing. Eliza had never met him. But by Sunday, she would be his wife. The wedding was small, too small to feel real. No music, no laughter, just a handful of witnesses and the dry wind brushing against the old wooden church like it didn't care what was happening inside. Eliza wore a simple dress, cream, not white. Not new. Nothing about that day felt new. And Thomas, he barely looked at her. Tall, broad-shouldered, sun-worn. His hands were rough, his expression unreadable. When he said, "I do," it wasn't cold, but it wasn't warm either. It was steady, like a man fulfilling a promise no one else understood. The ride to his farm was long. Long enough for fear to settle in her chest like a permanent weight. She had heard stories, women sold into marriages they couldn't escape. Men who treated wives like property. Nights that started with silence and ended with something much worse. She prepared herself. For anything. For everything. When they arrived, the house surprised her. It was small, but clean. Not abandoned. Not broken. Lived in. There were fresh flowers on the table. That didn't make sense. Thomas carried her small bag inside. Set it down gently. Still, he hadn't really looked at her. Not properly. And somehow, that made it worse. Night came faster than she expected. The kind of night that closes in around you. The kind where everything changes. Her heart pounded as she stood near the doorway of what she assumed was their bedroom. This was it, the moment she had been dreading. Thomas stepped inside, closed the door behind him, and for the first time, he looked directly at her. Not with hunger, not with ownership, but with something she couldn't immediately understand. Something careful. "You don't have to be afraid," he said quietly. The words hit her like a shock. Because fear was the only thing she had. He stepped back, not closer. Back. "I know you didn't choose this," he continued. "And I won't take anything from you that isn't freely given." Eliza blinked. Once. Twice. Trying to understand. Then he did something she would never forget. He took a blanket, walked to the corner of the room, and laid it on the floor. "I'll sleep here," he said. Just like that. No expectations. No demands. No claim over her. That was the moment everything changed. At first, she didn't trust it. Kindness, in her world, always came with conditions. So she waited. For the shift. For the truth behind the act. For the moment he would show who he really was. But days passed. Then weeks. And Thomas remained, the same. Quiet. Respectful. Distant, but not cold. He worked from sunrise to sunset. The farm was struggling, anyone could see that. Dry soil. Failing crops. Fences that needed fixing. Yet every evening, without fail, he brought something home. Food. Wildflowers. Once, even a book. "I thought you might like it," he said, placing it on the table without meeting her eyes. She didn't understand him, and that confusion slowly replaced her fear. One evening, she asked him, "Why did you marry me?" He paused, not startled, just thoughtful. "Because your father needed money," he said honestly. That stung. But he didn't stop there. "And because I needed someone who deserved more than what life had given them." She didn't know what to say to that. As the weeks turned into months, something unexpected began to happen. Eliza started to feel safe. Not trapped. Not owned. Safe. And safety, she realized, was something she had never truly felt before. But just as her walls began to fall, the truth came. It arrived in the form of a man from town. Well-dressed. Smiling too easily. The kind of man who thought everything, and everyone, had a price. You should come back, he told her one afternoon while Thomas was away. Your father's debts are gone now. You don't have to stay here. Eliza frowned. What do you mean? The man smiled. That farmer didn't just pay your father. He paid everyone. Her heart stopped. What are you talking about? He bought more than your marriage, the man said lightly. He bought your freedom. That night, when Thomas returned, everything changed again. Is it true? She asked, her voice shaking. He didn't lie. Yes. Silence filled the room. Heavy. Complicated. Why? She whispered. Thomas finally met her eyes fully. And this time, there was no distance. No hesitation. Because no one should be sold, he said. Not to me. Not to anyone. Her breath caught. I made a deal, he continued. But not for ownership. For release. Tears filled her eyes. Not from fear, but from something she had never expected to feel in this place. Choice. You're free to leave, he said quietly. Anytime. And that was the final twist. Because standing there, looking at the man who had every right, by the world's standards, to claim her, but chose not to, Eliza realized something that changed everything. For the first time in her life, she wasn't staying because she had to. She was staying because she wanted to. And sometimes, the greatest act of love is giving someone the freedom to walk away and trusting they won't.